excuse. Puis c'est là, tu peux voir qu'on voit, c'est de beau hiver. We see a green buoy, and this fellow wants to know because he's here to hear a bit of his past or some of his history. You can see where it's actually heeling a little bit towards the east. The tide is falling. La marée descend. Now maybe just to finish, finally answer your question, we have a 3.5 to 4 foot tide twice a day. So twice a day the water comes into the estuary, twice a day it leaves. If you look at the port side here, you can see the high water mark. You can actually see the tide surge during the full moon tide. En français, on a 3 pieds et demi à 4 pieds, ça c'est 2 fois par jour. Ça c'est la marée. La mer monte par l'est puis ça descend par l'ouest. 2 fois par jour, ça change toutes les 6 heures. So they change every 6 hours, okay? Sir, and finally, I know you asked, 14 nautical miles is the head of the tide, westward. You got it? 14 miles that way is the tide. 14 000 de Quai Ritchie, c'est là où la marée finit. Puis 14 000 en descendant, c'est là où le vrai l'eau salée commence, l'entrée. About 14 nautical miles this way, sir, from Virginia, I believe. This is where the 14 miles is the Miramichi Inner Bay. All right? So let's just say, you want to have a seat there? Yeah, just have a seat, sweetheart. So let's just say that Ritchie's Wharf is the midpoint of the tide, not the midpoint of the river. To finally answer your question, 3 parts per thousand in salt content. It's brackish water, hence the color. Think about it, 14 nautical miles with all the filtration of the brooks and so on and so forth. That's the reason for the color. 14 000 en montant, c'est là où la marée finit. 14 000, c'est l'entrée. Après 14 000, c'est juste 3 parties de 1000 de l'eau salée à Newcastle. Mais dans l'entrée, c'est 33 à 35. C'est-à-dire que le plus qu'on descend, le plus sel qu'il y a dedans. Okay, so quite obviously that the further we go down, the further salt content there is, all right? Just look upriver, guys, the opposite direction we're going. And when we look upriver, Ganda Mountain, very first structure you see is the Morrissey Bridge. On November the 12th, 1914, it was John Morrissey that opened the bridge. Novembre 12, 1914, il y avait une grosse célébration parce que ça, c'était le premier pont qui traverse la rivière principale. Prends garde que je te dis, je te explique que ça, on est sur la rivière principale maintenant. Okay? C'était John Morrissey qui a ouvert le pont. On November the 12th, 1940, there was a big celebration. Why? Because that was the very first crossing on the main river. I'm referring to this as the main tributary, the main river. Just continue looking upriver as far as you can see beyond the second bridge where these guys were stuck for 3.5 hours. We had to pipe them soup. No. Under the second bridge, that is where our 2 main tributaries started. If you look at my hands, guys, we're made up of primarily the main northwest, and we say northwest here. The main northwest starts under the second bridge of the river junction and goes towards the northwestern part of the province, with the headwaters being in the Bathurst area. The main southwest, that's the tributary you follow when you go to our capital city of Fredericton. But most importantly, where the main northwest and the main southwest enter into this main tributary, that's the name of the place 5 miles from here that we call Miramichi. So in case you're wondering, Miramichi is a Micmac name. The oldest Micmac name that we have in the east is Miramichi. En français, sur la deuxième pont, c'est là les 2 grosses rivières commençant, c'est le nord-ouest principal puis le sud-ouest principal. Comme j'ai dit, ça commence toujours la deuxième pont, puis le nord-ouest ça finit par Bathurst, nord-ouest de la Provence. Le sud-ouest, ça c'est la rivière qu'on suit quand on va à Fredericton. Mais plus important, les 2 entrent dans cette rivière, dans un endroit qu'on appelle Miramichi. C'est un nom autochtone, puisque les 2 rivières joignent dans cette rivière. Okay? So, northwest, southwest enter into this main river. 14 nautical miles eastward is the Miramichi Inner Bay. From the Inner Bay to the Outer Bay. From the Outer Bay to the Northumberland Strait. Then the St. Lawrence Seaway. Then the Atlantic Ocean. And we have on this river system 750 kilometers of one of the nicest rivers in the world. Wow. And it averages, finally, Miss Travers, it averages 30 to 35 feet in the channel. Sometimes we get 40. Okay? C'est-à-dire que c'est quoi le plafond? C'est ça, c'est 35 à 40 pieds. OK? On a, comme j'ai dit, 14 000 en descendant, ça c'est l'entrée, le vrai l'eau salée. On a 750 kilomètres de rivière sur cette système. All right? 750 kilometers of river. Now, I had to say that very, very quickly because, guys, look at the port side here. At that gauche, you said, when I mentioned First Nations, by the way, Micmacs, they arrived here over 3,000 years ago, naming us after the river. The oldest name of a place is Miramichi in the east for a name of a place. I had to say that quickly because right here is sometimes called the corner of the river, le coin de la rivière. During the time of the fight with the French and the English, la déportation des Acadiens, la grande dérangement. We say in French, les Acadiens ont choisi le coin de la rivière pour leur sécurité. The Acadians picked the corner of the river for their safety and security. Here's what they did. In 1755, a famous leader by the name of le Marquis Charles de Champ de Boisivert, qui arrive ici en 1755, durant la guerre contre les Anglais et les Français, during the wartime. In 1757 is where he put his battery, right there. C'est toi là, il mis ses fusils dans le coin de la rivière. Why? Because he can see upriver about 5 nautical miles and downriver 5. But the deepest part of the river, Miss Travis, is right there, 55 to 60 feet of water. On a 55 à 60 pieds d'eau de là, l'endroit le plus creux de la rivière. So during that wartime in 1757, he put his guns. In 1758, the famous English boat, the HMS Fame, it came up burning and destroying any homes here inside French Fort Cove, a beam of French Fort Cove at an area at that time called Acadia Point, now called Canada Point, and up at Wilson's Point in Beaubeur's Island, named after that famous leader, Île de Boisivert. Then they worked their way downriver, burning and destroying another French village. 14 nautical miles from here is where they destroyed a village. But most importantly, before they left, they burnt the Catholic Church in 1758. And since they burnt the church, today we have the village of Burnt Church. So that's how Burnt Church was formed in 1758. And that's 14 miles. Now it's a Micmac reserve. En français, en 1755, Boisivert arrivé. En 57, il mit ses fusils. En 58, les Anglais ont tout brûlé, toutes les choses, tous les villages, les états de guerre dans French Fort. Puis sur l'autre bord de la rivière, un endroit qu'on appelle Marais acadien. Non, mais après les Acadiens. Après ça, le HMS Fame, le gros bateau, a monté à Île de Boisivert. Il y avait un gros village d'Acadiens là, puis on a brûlé ça. Après ça, il a descendu 14 000 ici, puis ils ont arrêté leur bateau, puis ils ont encore brûlé un autre village, mais en 28 ans, ils ont brûlé l'église catholique. Puis de ce temps-là, on a le village de Burnt Church. Burnt Church, traduit, ça veut dire l'église brûlée, 1758. So 1758. Just look upriver, guys. That's the last we'll see of the Morrissey Bridge. That's why that was called the corner of the river. Ça, c'est la raison, on appelle ça le coin de la rivière. Okay? Lance French Fort. Okay, guys, am I talking too much? No? Talking too fast?
No.
For anybody that was late on board, that's my girlfriend's place.
Nice.
J'ai dit ça, c'est la maison de ma blonde. That's Mr. Wade Humphrey, the Tim Hortons band. He's the guy that has 8 franchises along the way here. So he has a license to print money. Yeah.
Wow.
C'est lui qui a 8 magasins Tim Hortons autour de la Miramichi. Ça fait que, ouais, il y a parmi une licence pour faire l'argent.
Wow. That's what you've been supporting, Lisa.
Yeah, that's right. And by the way, sir, from Virginia, you're right. You know, at that time, they poled with a socket on the end of the pole. That's how they moved a lot of stuff, you know, with boom, with the tide, tidal water. If you think about it, 14 miles away. As a matter of fact, they even boomed some for building a lot of along here parts of the, depending on where, you know, I'm going to talk about the coastal movement of goods, about that. But here's one example that's maybe relevant to your forefathers. If you look at this particular area here, these are old, this is one of the very first area of commerce, known as one time Rosebank, because of the wild roses. Now Nordine, because of the Scandinavian influence. But if you look at the shoreline here, indicative of our history, indicative of our days gone by, these are old ballast stone wharves. These wharves were made by somebody either quarter sawing or just in the round, black spruce, cribbing it. They cribbed it. And if the tide was low enough, could be talking about your forefathers, if the tide was low enough, you can actually see how they cribbed it. Why? It's because when the boat pulled over, they had ballast, because we were an exporting port, they dumped their ballast stones in the crib. That's how they made the wharves, that much wider and longer. Un des premiers endroits du commerce dans la machine Nordine, on fait ça avec des roches qui entraient sur les bateaux. On appelle ça des roches ballast, ceux qui entraient avant qu'ils achetaient nos bois et nos poissons. Okay? Ballast stone wharves.
Wow.
I mentioned those in a second
really
here. Yeah, that's Mr. Home Hardware, Mr. Tommy Linkletter. So we say home hardware's home. So we can make it that home hardware, I'll build that. So, once again, I'll mention these wharves here in a second, sir.
Ballast wharves, that's fascinating.
Test. Now, as we continue downriver here on the port side, guys, you see where this is Mr. That's Hal Summers. He's the Ford man. C'est lui qui vend les Ford en ville. So, Monsieur ici, have you driven a Ford lately? Now, I'm not intrigued by these big houses, but you don't see them from the King George Highway. On ne voit pas les maisons de King George. Regarde jusqu'à son bateau est stationné près de la côte, 35 pieds de l'eau. So this may be of interest to you, sir, from Virginia, where his boat is parked, right there. He has 35 feet of water. Yeah, because remember, those are old ballast stone wharves. Those wharves were made in the turn of the century. We're talking 1760, 1775, okay? I'll mention that further downriver. And one of the eras you should know of on the Miramichi is the 1840s, 1850s. Very big years here. Big years for a couple of reasons. I'll get to that, okay? Ici, pour savoir l'histoire de sa famille, ça fait qu'il m'a demandé des questions. Si tu n'es pas marié à une pharmacienne, il y a beaucoup d'argent dans le drogue. I just told him, if you're not married, get yourself a pharmacist. There's great money in drugs. But a nice kind of a day, guys. Actually, it's my kind of a day. We have a little bit of an east wind. There's no mosquitoes. No, but there's, you know, we're not being scalded to death with our heat either. Now, if you look over on the other side, guys, about, I don't know, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock from midship, about 10 o'clock from midship, regarde, en montant la rivière, sur l'autre bord, voyez toute l'église, quand on va de là, see this quaint little church, l'église blanche, see the white church? That's in Bushville. That's in an area called Bushville. That Bushville historically played a significant role, okay? I'm going to mention the name Bushville, and I'm going to mention the date, because of that church. The cornerstones were laid in 1822, and it was the very first service was Christmas morning of 1823. 1822, 1823, St. Paul's. C'est l'église Saint-Paul qui est bâtie. On a commencé en 1822, puis la journée de Noël, du 23, 1823, c'était fini. Puis ça, c'est dans un endroit qu'on appelle Bushville. Je vais parler de ça plus en descendant, quand on arrive à Douglastown. So when I get to Douglastown, I'll mention that particular church. Now, I went by a small yellow buoy that I was supposed to make note of, but I didn't. I forgot already. That's way up country. I forgot about that. We'll get back to that. We'll see a couple more.
But it's funny, there's a green and red buoy there.
Okay, as we continue downriver, guys, look at the port side here. God, I go, she said. This is, of course, you know, the Miramichiers have a great use of slangs and slogans and colloquialisms. En français, quand tu parles Miramichi, on utilise beaucoup d'argot. Well, since this is a hill, and the doctors live it, we call it Pill Hill. So this is Pill Hill for the doctors, okay? En français, les maisons des pilules, c'est les médecins habitants. You guys from Hamilton, you guys from Ontario, it's Toronto, us. You guys have a hill in Toronto. Yeah, it's called Parliament Hill. Yeah, Harper and Duffy. That? Yeah, the Parliament Hill it is, yeah. Yeah, but everything's Toronto to us. Toronto starts where Montreal ends and it ends in Fort McMoney. Toronto.
Oh,
Toronto.
I couldn't see it before.
Yeah, these are the doctors. He was trying to me the other day, this particular gentleman here, where he only had enough dockage for his 38-foot rigger boat, but not enough for his 3 sea-doos. Oh, poor guy. Everybody has their problems, eh? Tout le monde a leurs problèmes. Moi, j'ai dit en anglais, le médecin qui m'a demandé l'autre jour, il y a un problème parce qu'il y a assez de quai pour stationner son gros bateau, mais pas assez pour ses 4 sea-doos. Comme j'ai dit, tout le monde a leurs problèmes aujourd'hui, hein. Don't forget, ça c'est le bord nord de la rivière. That's the north side, and that one's of course the south side, le bord sud de la rivière. I can just tell by the color of that boat going by us there, guys, it has a lot of sea juice on it. That'd be Budweiser and Bud Light, of course. Ouais. Le jus de mer. C'est le jus de mer. Ça, c'est du Budweiser et du Bud Light. Par ici, ouais. Le jus de mer. Now, test. Over on the other side, tu vas voir ça dans une couple de minutes, là, or 30 secondes, still way over on the other side. Yeah, there's a great big house up over on the other side, I do believe. Not the yellow one, but look where the parking lot is completely full. See where the parking lot is completely full? Une vieille maison ici, juste le stationnement est tout plein. Now, you guys from Virginia, maybe we'll pick on you guys a little bit. Did you drive through Maine when you came by here? Did you drive through Maine? Yes. Well, I had a group of seniors from Maine here last year, a couple of years ago, say to me, Mr. Hatchie, sir, can you take us for a tour of the river? I said, yes, I can take you for a tour of the river. But one old lady, she was, well, I'm not saying she was elderly, she was 84 years old, she raised her hand and said, Mr. Hatchie, sir, we've been here for, making reference to this particular house, you see. We've been here for 3 days and the car park is always full. Why is the car park always full now? Well, I said the car park is full because there's living proof there's a lot of people in every town that have nothing to do with their lives but chase that little white ball around. J'ai demandé qu'est-ce qu'il y a à cette maison, il y a stationnement, tout plein tout le temps. Moi je dis, il y a beaucoup de monde qui n'a pas grand chose à faire avec leur vie. Leur marche gaspillée. C'est là qu'ils courent après une petite balle blanche. They chased that little white ball, a good walk, wasted fellas. That's their golf and country club. It was Judge Peters' home. Judge Peters had the home built in 1823. 1823, il a fait bâtir ça. C'était le juge. L'homme le plus riche en Nouveau-Brunswick. The richest man in New Brunswick, sir, from Virginia. He had a hole coming from his basement under the water, or rather, under the road and into the water. They used to say in 1823 the judge smuggled some rum way back then. Probably the reason he was the richest man in town. Oui, c'est lui qui vendait du rhum en 1823. Ça, c'était la raison, il était l'homme le plus riche en Nouveau-Brunswick. I wouldn't want to see him on a Monday morning, I'll guarantee it. Judge Judy was bad. Whoo, boy, he'd surround you, that fella. So there's the Golf and Country Club, Judge Peters' home, but sometimes known as the Burchell House, because they converted to a Golf and Country Club in 1912, 1913. It was the family Burchell that converted. Okay, guys, going to do this very, very quickly, okay? First Nations, 3,000 years ago, we talked about the very first Europeans, les Acadiens. After that, it was the Scots that arrived. William Davidson and John Court never granted 150,000 acres of land to start an enterprise. And that enterprise being, of course, the fishing of Atlantic salmon commercially, but they needed a way to move it, such was shipbuilding. Regarde ici, dans ce temps ici, moi je parle de 1760 à 75. Vois-tu la mur faite en pierre, toi ici à gauche, là, où il y a là? See this home, not my girlfriend's place, see this home right here? See the fenced off area, see the sandstone wall, you see the archway, see the hole in the sandstone wall? That is an old oven. That is an old lime kiln during the turn of the century. You only see it from the river. Ça c'est un vieux fort. Vois-tu là? Now that's my girlfriend's place. Everybody's under my blonde, right? A lot of girlfriends. That's right. That's the banker's home. Any bankers on board, we can pick up the bankers if there were. Normally I say an honest banker.
Yeah. None of them on board.
Yeah. Un banquier honnête. Un banquier honnête. Pourquoi pas la plus grosse de la maison, le plus honnête qui sont?
It's not necessary to make that big a footprint.
Le plus gros de la maison, le plus honnête qui sont.
Such a big a footprint.
I just told them in French, why is it the bigger the home, the more honest they seem to be? Oh, we'll never know. I can't tell you because he owns his boat. Mr. Underhill. Well, you go for Tim Hortons now. You pay attention now. You live here. When you go to Tim Hortons in the morning, he owns that franchise down there. He owns all those buildings. Mr. Underhill. Mr. Underhill. Yeah. Yeah. Mr. Underhill. And he did at one time, yeah.
That's
yeah.
nicer.
Used to be the manager of the credit union, actually. Yeah.
That's nicer, even though, right?
Now on the port side, guys, over here, regarde à gauche, she said, look, just the petit l'auto blanche est stationné droit là. See where the White House there? Well, not the White House, where the white cars parked next to the sandstone one. That's the oldest mariners' hospital they have in this country, known as the Seamen's Hospital, built specifically for captain and crew. Seamen's Hospital built for captain and crew. The oldest mariners' hospital of that type that we have in this country is the Seamen's Hospital, built during the time of the height of the coastal movement of goods. L'hôpital Siemens, c'est demandé pour ceux qui travaillent sur les bateaux. C'est l'hôpital le plus vieil de ce genre de ce type qu'on a. Durant le bougement de nos ressources, moi je parle des 1830, 1833. I hope that's nobody's wallet blowing around up there. Okay, the white one, la blanche, toi tu sais, see the white one avec les deux chimneys centrales, the two central fireplaces? That was the Alexander Rankin house. Alexander Rankin operated a big beautiful mill. Il y avait un gros moulin de bois, toi tu sais. Alexander Rankin. Alexander Rankin. Test. Now keep in mind, guys, the further we work our way downriver, the more salt content there is. Le plus ça descend, le plus il y a de sel dans l'eau. Okay? Now, I'm going to concentrate here a little bit on the port side here. That's the left side. And on the left side here, just slow it up just a little bit, Terry boy. What?
That's the cloud factory.
Just ease up there, Terry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Forever to figure
Yeah,
out.
as we come by this particular place, not where the flag is, but they're doing a big, beautiful lawn here. See where they're doing the lawn here, guys? Not this one, but the following one here. And we're going to look for a little sandstone building, okay? A little sandstone building with the black roof and the two white dormers. Sandstone building, white roof, or black roof, two white dormers. Vois-tu ce que c'est? Moi, je parle d'un petit bâtisse fait en pierre, pour des sites, là. Vois-tu l'autre là? C'est l'autre bord, là. Vois-tu ça? Vois-tu là? Elle est faite en pierre, la brune, droite là. Droite là, c'est ça. Better known as the John Wise Cottage. The John Wise Cottage. Oh, the John Wise Cottage. Okay. Just touch it up a little bit, Terry. Now, why that home is historically significant, c'est la raison que je parle de cette maison-là. Il y avait une grosse chose qui a passé en 1825. When you talk about Miramichi history here, it's always pre and post October the 7th, 1825. On October the 7th, 1825, the biggest catastrophe of mankind, known as the Great Miramichi Fire. That fire devastated this area. It started in the northwestern part of the province, burning right to the salt water. That fire showed no mercy, killing a lot of lives, and only 12 homes survived the Great Fire of 1825, and you guys saw 3 of them. The Wise Cottage, the Golf and Country Club, and the church in Bushville are the survivors of the Great Fire of 1825. That fire jumped the river 3 times. Along the way. You can see the width of it. As a matter of fact, the bushes burnt in front of the church in Bushville. That's where the fire jumped, hence the name Bushville. That's where it got its name. Yeah. OK, en français. Quand tu parles de l'histoire de la Miramichi, c'est toujours avant ou après octobre 7, 1825, on a tout brûlé. Le feu a commencé dans le nord-ouest de la Provence, puis ça a brûlé jusqu'à l'eau salée. Presque un quart de la Provence a brûlé dans 10 heures. Il y avait juste 12 maisons qui ont brûlé, puis moi j'ai parlé de 3. Le chalet Wise, jusqu'au terrain de golf, puis l'église à Bushville. Le feu a traversé la rivière 3 fois. Okay? Comme j'ai dit, il y avait juste 12 maisons qui n'ont pas brûlé. Now, the hero of the fire was a fellow by the name of Sir Howard Douglas. And Sir Howard Douglas helped persevere and help people survive the harsh winters that we have here. Guys from Virginia, do you realize there was over 4 feet of ice on this particular river here not too long ago? You could drive a tractor trailer on it. I snowmobile this winter. I parked my snowmobile this winter on the roof of my camp. On the roof, I repeat, of my camp. Not on the chimney. I made sure that would stay clear. But that's where you got 12 feet of snow there. Yeah. But Howard Douglas knew we were getting a harsh winter, so that's why they rewarded him by naming him after this river, or after this area, Douglas Town. Prior to that, it was called Gretna Green. Gretna Green because of the Scottish influence. En français. Le vedette du feu, c'était Howard Douglas. Puis c'était le représentatif dans le gouvernement. Puis c'est lui qui a commencé à entrer des prévisions pour ceux qui n'ont pas décidé durant le feu. C'est lui qui a commencé à préparer le monde, puis l'hiver en a par ici. Moi, comme j'ai dit en anglais, 5 à 4 pieds de glace ici cet hiver, 12 pieds de neige avec une grosse l'hiver dur ici. Howard Douglas, c'est lui qui savait ça. Ça, c'est la raison qu'on appelle cet endroit, appelé lui Douglas Town. Avant ça, c'était Gretna Green. C'est parce que c'est ici que les Écossais ont commencé leur vie. OK, c'est l'autre bord. You're sitting dans votre logade. You're sitting, ça, c'est Saputo. Saputo de Quebec. Yeah, that is Saputo of Quebec, the cheese-making people. Yeah, well, those big white blocks aren't blocks of cheese. No. Ils faisaient la planche collée. That's our OSB board, OSB. Terry, do you see that big yellow, or the small yellow buoy? All right. Oh, it should be in front of you on the port side. Small little yellow buoy, guys. We're looking. Do you see it, guys? Did we go by it? 2 o'clock. 1, 2. There it is. What? Two buoy jaune. What you can see? Where is it? Oh, here's coming up. Here it is. Yeah, this is kind of neat, sir, because this is of significance. What they do with those yellow buoys, if we were to follow them upriver, they go to the head of the tide. If we were to follow them downriver, they go to the coast of Labrador. Why? Because that is the system that they use for tracking the Atlantic salmon with GPS. They put it next to the dorsal fin a computer chip. When that chip goes by, that buoy is registered, but that picked up by the honing device, sends a signal to a GPS, and that is how they track them right to the coast of Labrador. Ça, c'est la façon qu'on suit le poisson avec une pièce électronique sur le dos du poisson. Ça, c'est seulement avec une pièce électronique, on le suit jusqu'à Labrador. Good luck. Now, there's an island here, guys, and they probably did. I bet you there was some booming down there, sir. I bet you dimes to donuts. Your forefathers did some booming there. That's how they moved the logs using the tides. It's because this is an island they call Ballast Island. Why it was strategically placed, sir, is because there were 5 wharves, there were 5 mills operated at one time. At one time, sir, there were 42 mills on this river system. So if you were to ask me how far they went with booms, I'd say as far as the water went, right to the Miramichi Outer Bay, and that's Rishabakto. Okay, does that answer your question finally? 5 wharves for 5 mills. Ça, c'est une île qu'on appelle île Ballast. Puis il y avait 5 quais autour de l'île, jusqu'à 5 moulins à travailler. Dans les 1840 à 50, il y avait 42 ursines de bois sur la rivière. 42. Car aujourd'hui, ça, c'est la seule qui travaille. Of course, that's the only one that's working over there. Test. Now, something of a more serious note. I'm going to ask you for... Oh, do you see what they're doing there, guys? Look what they're doing here. See what they're doing over here on the other side? See that little dory? It's not a dory, we call it a skiff, or we call it a scow. See that scow? You know what he's doing with there? See that net over there? Look at that net is fishing now. That's the Gaspereau net. But it's now, they use it for counting fish. What he's doing, he's taking that driftwood for a drive. He is. This is kind of neat. They only fish commercially on that side with nets. Because why? Because when the driftwood comes in, that's what he's doing. He takes it to this side of the river. And that's why he takes it for a drive. He goes up and down a couple of times a day till it fetches up over that side of the shore. So it won't get back into their nets. That's why they fish on that side of the river. And number 2, the channel's over there. Okay, Terry, you good? Qu'est-ce qu'il fait ça? Il y a un filet. Vois-tu là, il y a ce filet droit ici. Vois-tu là? Ça, c'est le Gaspereau. Le Gaspereau. Le hareng de la rivière. Oh, so it's the river herring. Maybe just to time diverse you about our fish here. Atlantic salmon, over 50%, 52% of all Atlantic salmon in North America come here. 52% de toute la salmon atlantique dans la Marina, ici. The next one is the striped bass, la chigomboree. This is la chigomboree. We have too many striped bass here. The American eel and the lamprey eel are the other 2. Long eel, les deux sortes qu'on a. La truite qui monte le printemps, the trout that comes up in the spring of the year. Then the Gaspereau is another major species, and the Tommy cod. That's a major species, okay? We have many, many more. Tommy cod, c'est le Gaspereau, puis le Tommy cod, c'est le petit morue, plus en descendant. Okay? Now, can I just have your attention, please, okay? Now, what we normally do here this time of the river here, we've been doing it for quite some time, there's a veterans wing over here, and they look for the boat. Now, the boat's a little late today, but that's okay, they're still looking for us. So every day they have the boat time. If I leave at 2 o'clock, 2:40, 2:45, I'm usually here, and somebody sets them up in their window. So as a nice little gesture, we're going to remove our hats and use them for a flag, and when we hit the horn, They are watching for the boat. We're going to make somebody's day here, okay? C'est un hôpital de vétérans sur le bord du chemin, puis on les donne des grosses des grosses bye-bye. Okay? What's that? If you want to go upstairs, sure. They'll see you for sure upstairs. Everybody upstairs, they wave. So this is the veterans ring once again. So we're going to try and make their day.
Wow.
Now ignore these guys that are fishing down here, okay? Down at Kwan's Landing. I call this Kwan's Point. Because when we hit the horn and we start waving, they're all going to start waving at us. They have been all summer long. But just ignore them, and we're just going to continue waving, okay? Terry, when I tell you when, you're going to hit the horn? Not right now, no. We're coming up to it. Now you're going to see the flags. I know see the flags, guys? Then we're going to see their windows here. At about 12 seconds or so, 10 seconds or so. That's the veterans ring. I can see through the trees the bus that they're hauled, that they haul them in. So that is their bus. It's parked there. Ça c'est l'hôpital ici, l'autre bord du chemin. C'est l'autre côté. L'autre bord du chemin. Would you look? Anyways, guys, upstairs where they can really see it. And I know this, but they do see the boat. They did. It was in their newsletter where they read there. Okay, guys, start waving, fellas. They see us through the trees. Yeah, keep on waving. Ignore those guys down at Kwan's Point because they just think we're crazy. But no, we know they're crazy because they don't know what we're doing. We know. Keep on waving, guys. Yeah, keep on waving, guys. That's good, Terry. Keep on. Look, there's the window. They see us. They see us. They see us. There's another set of windows coming up, guys. I know the guy parked his truck there. There's one. That's okay. Just keep on waving. Keep on waving. I think we got one more. Here's another one coming up, and they do see us. Remember, guys, we're making somebody's day here. They do, in fact, see us. Yeah, there they is. That's the next one. Yeah, I know it takes about 30 seconds or so, or maybe a minute. Way to go, way to go, way to go. Thank you very much. And I tell everybody, if you're on Coach's Corner, Don Cherry will give you a kiss on the cheek and a thumbs up for doing that. Okay, this bridge was built in 67, hence the name of the Centennial Bridge. Le même temps en Trois-Rivières, Québec. Le même temps bâti en 67. En 67. Hence the Centennial Bridge to celebrate our centennial year, 67. Now, there were 5 of these bridges built in 67. What? C'est la même année, what? The main tip. Now, when you travel under a bridge in China, you sing, everybody gets good luck. Somebody want to grab the mic and sing. The oldest customs in the world, c'est que tu chantes en chine quand tu traverses sur un pont. Ça vous donne de bonne chance à tout le monde sur le bateau. Everybody want to try? Anybody want to try something? Le temps going up. Ooh, boy, the sails their eyes, the boy brings them home to lies. Ooh, something like that. There you go. So this one, sir. That bridge is still not strong yet if it can withstand that. Very good. There's your good luck charm, fellas. Everybody go buy a lotto ticket. If you win, I get 50%. Just when I come about there, I'll be right there. Coming into the former town of Chatham, we're all Miramichi now. The former town of Chatham. And they celebrate their big Irish culture. C'est juste les Irlandais à commencer leur vie dans les 1830. In the 1830s, of course, the famous coffin ships that came in, known as the coffin ships. And the influx of the Irish immigrants here, because of our receptiveness, because of way of handling and helping people in times of crisis, they decided to call this place home. And hence the Irish capital of the world. I want to point out just a few little things here. Once again, location being very big, natural resources being very, very big. It was the coastal movement of goods. En français, c'était le réseau, c'était le poisson pour le bourg autour du monde, puis des vieux quais qui représentent ça, puis des vieilles familles qui avaient beaucoup d'argent. And of course, those families I'll mention here in a second. This is the Station Wharf Marina. This is a private/public marina. They got devastated last year during that storm Arthur. La grosse tempête est arrivée cette année, l'été passé. Ça a tout cassé ça. It totally destroyed that. Yeah. There's a lot of volunteer work going to see that we call the working man's marina. It's because it's the working man that's making it work. You see guys in the back of the shopping centre drawing. What you look at that paint, that was the last square rigger, the Avon Queen. It was the Avon Queen that shipped out of here in 1919. 1919, c'était le gros voilier, le Avon Queen, qui était la dernière bateau qui allait de cette quai. C'est ça que ça représente. That is what that represents. Only nine. That could be my girlfriend's boat there. Eyes of eyes, the bills of boat. Okay, fellas. Now, guys, as we continue down here, as we continue down to historical Water Street of Chatham, take note on the starboard side. Oh, the St. Michael's Basilica. Hence the Irish and Catholic influence. La Basilique Saint-Michel, la grosse église, and of course the Williston House, and that's the home right here, guys, and that's another survivor. What you la elle fait en pierre with the sandstone one? That's a survivor of the Williston House of the Great Fire of 1825. I'm sorry, we had 4 of them. Okay, now we're going to see a gentleman sitting on a park bench. That's the statue of Sir Francis Peabody. The statue qu'on voit when you sit Sir Francis Peabody. What you doing là? There's the bronze figure. Sir Francis Peabody had that. He arrived here in 1799. 1799. C'est lui qui avait première usine de bois, what he said. He had the very first sawmill here on the Miramichi, Sir Francis Peabody. And the old historical Water Street of Chatham in days gone by, and a lot of names like the Millers of Millerton, the Logies of Logieville, the Canard Line. How can you not talk Miramichi without the famous Canard Line? From here to Halifax, from Halifax to England. Moi, je parle de l'équipe d'art, ceux qui ont fait du gros bateau, le Queen Mary 2. Ils ont commencé ici. Oui. Okay, this is the Rod Inn and Suite. It's a restaurant / motel and the Sweater Resort built about 18 years ago. 18 years ago. No, c'est about 18 ans passés.
Good shape.
Well, anyhow, fellas, thank you very much for your attention. Je remercie beaucoup, puis je vais passer le temps avec les titres pour aider à conduire le bateau. And I hope I trust that you got a little bit of history and a little bit of interpretation, a little bit of feeling for the area. Okay, thank you very much. And I apologize, fellas, for the little delay, but these guys made the record, the world record, by being lost in Miramichi. No, they didn't. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup.
See?